Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting a like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from a throwaway account, and before we get into it, there is warnings of racism and bigotry as well, so if you do want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. It's titled, Am I the Arsehole for Denying My Brother and Best Man a +1? I'm 30 female, getting married in a couple of weeks, and our siblings are in the wedding party. My sister and fiancé sister are my bridesmaids / maid of honor. My brother, 36 male, is the best man. We siblings get along great. Fiancé, 34 male, is my childhood friend and brother's best friend. My brother's wife, sister-in-law, doesn't get along with my family, and we've had several fights. She's been very snooty with our family because she comes from a wealthier background. She's been rude to my parents, said mean things to my sister's kids, wouldn't let my brother visit my family over the holidays because she didn't want to. The list is endless. My brother has always defended her and even fought with the rest of the family for her. My parents tried to keep things civil for the sake of the family. It's just sad. So obviously, I didn't make sister-in-law a bridesmaid, but she was invited as a guest. I even texted to tell her I hoped we could put differences aside and get together as a family on my wedding day. She texted back thanking me for the invite and telling me it would be too hard for her to attend with everything that happened and that she couldn't pretend. I thought it was typical of her, didn't give it much thought. Yesterday, my brother called me and asked if he could bring a +1 to the wedding. I asked if he meant sister-in-law, but nope, turns out he and sister-in-law have separated for a few months because their marriage has been on the rocks. I think there was some infidelity on his part as well because he wanted to bring his new girlfriend to my wedding. I said hell no. I've never met this new woman and don't know how long it'll last. And he's still married to my sister-in-law and has a child with her. I just don't think it's fair to her or my nephew to be replaced just like that in a family gathering. My nephew won't be attending the wedding, but I'd like to show him the pictures later. How would it make him feel? So I said no. My fiancé and brother both think it's unfair because he's best man and deserves a +1. He claims his marriage is basically over and he's single now. But I'm standing my ground. So am I a bridezilla? So, as always with these stories, we had some comments below with OP replying. Zed says, new girlfriend is going to have to sit this one out. If you didn't know they were separated, neither will anyone else. And that's way too much drama for a wedding. OP says exactly. I'm 90% sure he cheated behind sister-in-law's back and she's an affair partner. Timelines don't add up and my brother is being evasive about it. Every says, does sister-in-law know about this woman? OP says no idea. Haven't spoken to her since. Quiet says, could all that has happened that makes her unable to pretend be the failure of their marriage? OP says maybe. I didn't make that connection then. A lot of other stuff has happened before that. Our last family gathering also ended in a big fight and my parents walking out of their house in tears. She has problems with our family culture, language, etc. In an ideal world, she would have whisked my white passing brother away from his family and made him a part of her world. She hated it that he wouldn't cut off his family and even tried to teach his son our language. But she changed her last name to my family's last name, so I don't know if she really hates our culture that much. She is a confusing woman. I hate that woman, but doesn't justify what my brother is doing. On why OP thinks the brother cheated, OP says thanks, but I'm not assuming out of thin air. He said a few things that makes it apparent that he either cheated on sister-in-law or dumped sister-in-law so he could start dating this new woman. Just 3 months back, sister-in-law attended a family gathering as his wife. There's no way she would have done that if they were already separated. OP added an update in the same post and said, spoke to my sister. She's absolutely on my side. Parents have no idea yet. I don't know what this guy was thinking. Just show up with a new woman without telling them. So, OP added another update and then said, I spoke to fiancé. He admitted he's finding it hard to feel bad for my sister-in-law because she's been so horrible to us, and apparently my brother has been miserable for several months. But he agreed that the cheating part was wrong. Fiancé agrees that I might have a right to be mad and disappointed in my brother. But obviously, we're not going to cut him off for his poor choices. We never did. He's an idiot, but he's our idiot. Fiancé said he saw no point in getting off on the wrong foot with a new girlfriend, because what if she's nice and this relationship lasts? I told my fiancé I was open to getting to know my brother's new girl in the future if she's still around then, but not like this and not right now. Brother needs to get his shit together and finalize the divorce, custody, and co-parenting arrangements first. He needs to clean up his mess before creating new ones. Fiancé says he's in a difficult position because his other groomsman is also bringing a date, who we've never met before. But that guy was never married, not a part of my family, and his date's presence will not create any drama, so this situation is different. So now that we've agreed that we won't invite his girlfriend to the wedding because it would be inappropriate, I told fiancé he can tell my brother that I, his sister, made this decision in my family and my nephew's best interests. I'm ready to be the bad guy. That way, he can save his relationship with his idiot of a best friend. As for me, I'll deal with my idiot of a brother later. Right now, I don't want to talk to him. So then the next update after this one came in 2 years later. Said hello, it's been 2 years and I was just reminded of my previous post, so here's an update. My wedding took place as scheduled in a beautiful historic church. I'm not religious, but even I must say that the ceremony was beautiful and emotional. My brother attended it as a best man but without a +1. My parents got to know what was going on and wouldn't let him set foot in the church with another woman while still married. My now ex-sister-in-law or nephew didn't attend either. I was a little sad about my nephew not attending, but I sent him his thank you gift. We learned more about why my brother's marriage imploded, and it makes me so sad. It was because of religion. My parents had organized a baptism for my nephew as per Catholic tradition, and my ex-sister-in-law didn't want it because she is not Catholic. Edit for clarity, nobody told my parents at the time that ex-sister-in-law had an issue. They thought she was on board. My parents had no reason to suspect this would ever be an issue because my brother and ex-sister-in-law got married in a Catholic church, the same one I got married in. But turns out she was cool with it at the time because it was a beautiful historic church and she thought it was romantic. She had different feelings about the baptism. My brother mishandled the whole thing and made this baptism his hill to die on. Ultimately, it was my stupid brother's fault and failure to communicate. Our entire family got blamed for being pushy. If either of them had told this to my parents, they wouldn't have suggested that my nephew be baptized. Edit for clarity, in my culture, grandparents host and pay for the baptism party. It's a big deal. So my parents wanted to know if they needed to set money aside and start planning it. The child's parents are supposed to speak with a priest and do the religious parts. That never happened because brother's marriage had imploded at that point. My parents are not bigoted or intolerant of other faiths. My other brother and sister-in-law are raising their kids Jewish, a mother's religion. My parents were totally cool with it because they were clear about what they wanted for their children. My brother has since divorced my ex-sister-in-law and married the woman he was dating at the time. My new sister-in-law is actually quite nice and gets along with her family, and is a good stepmom to my nephew. My brother has joint custody. I hope he doesn't mess up this marriage too. For what it's worth, she's an observant Catholic, so religion at least won't be an issue this time. My parents have told my ex-sister-in-law she will always be a part of the family as my nephew's mother, and she is welcome home anytime. She wants to keep her distance though, and I totally understand why. Top commenter said to OP on this one, your brother was trying to find a justification to implode his marriage. He used your nephew as an excuse while creating a situation where he wouldn't be the only one to blame. In this case, he dragged your naive parents into it, while also framing your ex-sister-in-law as stubborn. You're giving your arsehole of a brother too much grace. Opie says my brother was an arsehole for how he handled several things, but she had her own issues. She was racist to our family, hated that my parents were working class, and always had mean things to say about them because they speak English with an accent. On one occasion, she even threatened to call ICE on my dad in anger. He's not undocumented. She was just being a bully. Specialist Leak says your description of her in this comment doesn't match how you described her previously, and why would your parents be so nice to a racist bully? I'm confused. Opie says, oh, we all tolerated her only because my brother was so much in love with her, and we wanted them to be happy. and we all wanted to have a relationship with their child. My parents wanted their son to be happy, and if tolerating his racist wife was what it took, they decided to put up with it. She apologized for the ice comment though, and they forgave her. Someone said on the back of all this that it was the parents' fault for pushing the baptism, and Opie replied saying, "They suggested it and my brother agreed to it quite enthusiastically at the time. It was for their grandchild, and there was no pushing. They had no idea this would cause for friction between him and his wife until much later. And my parents thought they were just helping with the logistics. Once my brother agreed to it, language was an issue too. My mum doesn't speak much English and kind of relied on my brother to be the translator between her and ex-sister-in-law. Gee bloody whiz, what an absolute mess. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from the True Off My Chest subreddit from Instruction Tall 1105, and it says, "My long distance boyfriend just left for a 2-month trip to Switzerland with his ex-girlfriend. I live just a few hours away in Germany, but I was never part of his plans. He said the trip was planned a while ago. Well, maybe 2 months ago when we saw each other the last time in person. He even said and promised to me that we could meet maybe 10 days, but he actually never booked a train ticket. About a month before he left, he said he can't change his plans with his ex. But later I found out she paid for everything. That really hurts because I wanted to do everything for him, knowing he chose to spend time with her, even though I wanted to be important to him, and he knew how bad I felt about it. Before he left, I sent him a heartfelt message. His reply was cold, short, almost emotionless. I felt like I was talking to ChatGPT, but even ChatGPT would have written something with more emotions. And just before boarding, he wrote, 'Have a good night,' with a little love heart. Since then, I've cut off contact, but he also didn't send another message or something like, 'I landed safely.' I'm hurt and disappointed." Absolutely right. Just cut that shit off immediately. I mean, as soon as I read the title, I was like, nope. Kind of wondering if OP was, and this is going to sound awful, but OP is the affair partner all along and just didn't know it. He's stringing both these people along and they don't know about the full situation. Possibly. But Lady Pie says, he's dating the ex and you're the affair partner. Wake up. OP says, yes, I finally woke up after believing all his lies. Thanos Snaps Slim Jims says, you mean he went on a trip with his current girlfriend? You're the side chick. Evie says, oh sis, he's still sleeping with his ex, who isn't an ex at all. Dump him. And OP just replied, yeah, you're right. Poppy Pie says, you may want to message his ex and just say, hey, I'm not sure what your situation is with boyfriend's name, but I understand you're going away on a trip with him. We have been dating long distance for X amount of time, and he told me you were his ex-girlfriend. Obviously, it's unusual and disrespectful to go on a long trip with an ex-girlfriend when you're dating someone else, so I've got the feeling that you weren't actually an ex, and I've been the secret side piece all along. So I wanted to let you know in case that is the situation. I've lost contact with him now, as I want nothing to do with someone who would be so disrespectful. But figured you should know in case he had cheated on you with me, and you were never an ex. Obviously, totally up to you. It's fine if you do nothing, but in these situations, I always think the person being cheated on should be informed so they're not wasting their time with a lying, cheating arsehole. But be prepared, she may not believe you. She may ask for proof, or she may be civil and appreciate the heads up, etc. OP says, yeah, thank you. I will try to contact her. So OP did come in with an update. The update was titled, I made a fake Insta account, and my boyfriend said he's single to me on a fake account. So I decided to follow him on Instagram with a fake account. He actually accepted my friend request yesterday, so I started chatting with him a bit and told him I'm from Spain and that we had met online before. After like 5 minutes of chatting, he suddenly said he remembers me, even though we've clearly never met. I asked him why he's still awake, and he told me one of his university friends died. Like, seriously? That's such a disgusting lie to just throw out for attention. Who does that? Then I asked him if he has a girlfriend. He said no, that he broke up a month ago with someone from Germany because she wanted to know too much about him. I asked twice just to be sure, and both times he told me he's single. Meanwhile, I'm literally his girlfriend, or was, and he's currently on a trip with his ex, and he said to my fake account he's just on a trip with friends. Another funny thing is, after that, he texted to me his ex-girlfriend and called me babe. Ew. I hope we will never ever have a girlfriend in his life again, and I hope karma gets him. Someone says to him, please tell me you broke up with him. Opie says, yes, believe me, I don't want someone disgusting like him, but actually, I don't need to break up because our whole relationship was a lie, so does it count like one? I don't think so. That's why I'm just going to ghost him. Swam says, so he said he's single, and now he is single. Magic. And Opie just laughs and says, yes. I know I say this a lot in these stories, but it's always a thought that pops into my mind, and I know it's not the point. I know there's people being hurt in these stories, etc., so I'm not downplaying that, but I always think, who's got time for the shit this guy is pulling? Multiple relationships, trying to flirt with others as well, trying to get with others as well online, and playing all these games. It's just like the mental space to be dealing with that kind of shenanigans on top of normal life as well. It's just like, oh, for fuck's sake, get a grip. Putting my socks on is a bloody chore. But good for OP for getting out of that situation, just ghosting, doing whatever you have to do to just block them. They're fucking awful person. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's have another story. This one's from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit and says, am I the arsehole for wanting better etiquette from my husband? My husband and I have been together for 20 or so years. He's a genuinely good man, great husband, loving parent, loyal friend. I feel fortunate that we are still in love after all this time. We have kind of a bestie vibe going. We really like doing things together, whether it's errands, shopping, cooking, impromptu adventures. Sometimes our teen is along with us, but sometimes not, as he has a growing social life. We had dinner out tonight, and when our enjoyable meal was over and we had paid the check, he got up from the table and walked out, leaving me and our leftovers at the table. I'm always slightly slower to get up. He does this a lot and it really bothers me. Am I wrong to want him to stand at the table and wait 2 seconds so we can walk out together? Also, when we're out together or as a family, he will often walk ahead of me instead of next to me. For example, when we get out of the car in the church parking lot on Sunday mornings and walk to the church, I'm often left trailing behind. I have long legs and I'm not a slow walker. I'm not ugly or weird or embarrassing, and he's not some degenerate who doesn't know better. So what is this about? When I've brought it up casually in the past, he brushes it off or deflects, but now I feel like we need to have an actual conversation about it. Am I the arsehole here? And how do I go about broaching this without having to deal with an overly defensive reaction? Commenter says to OP, not the arsehole. Thankfully, if your relationship is so solid, you should be able to bring this up to your husband without offending him. Just explain how it makes you feel when he leaves without you or walks far ahead of you. He most likely isn't doing this on purpose and is either a fast walker or someone who zeroes in on the destination and loses focus of his surroundings because of it. I know people like this who don't mean to abandon people but just do it without thinking. Opie says he is totally about the destination. Thank you for your perspective. Commenter says, so I had a husband who lacked what I thought of as manners too. If I brought it up, he declared those things were unimportant. It wasn't until I reframed it as, these are things that make me feel loved and considered, that I got through to him, and he started making changes. So maybe reframe the discussion. Opie said, yeah, this exactly. He does a lot of other thoughtful things. I'm starting to see it as kind of a love languages situation. Commenter says, not the arsehole. He is wrong to just leave without you. It's strange, it seems like maybe he complained about you being too slow in the past, and so he makes a point of not waiting. Otherwise, I don't get it. Also, is it our leftovers or your leftovers? Another possibility is if he doesn't want to wait for containers, etc. If he doesn't take his own leftovers, feel free to leave them. Opie says, I'm actually not a slow walker. Slow to pop up from a dinner table, I guess. We had Indian, started with an appetizer, which we finished, then shared 2 dishes and talked about having plenty left for dinner tomorrow as well. Another commenter says, my husband of 14 years does the same thing. Because he's hard ADHD. I swear it gives him physical pain to stand still. You should be able to talk to him about it. Let him know it bothers you. Opie says, yeah, I didn't want to publicly diagnose him, but hard ADHD is about as accurate as it gets. So it was about 4 days after that OP came in with an update and said I really appreciated all the comments, ideas, and feedback. When I brought this topic up the next day, it did not feel particularly well received, and I was frustrated with myself for not being more articulate and with him for not being more open to conversation. I chalked it up as needing to be revisited in the near future. But we went away overnight with our son 2 days later, and I stopped counting examples of changed behavior at 7 or 8. From checking into the hotel to walking around town, dining out twice, walking to the beach and back multiple times, we walked together, he held doors and even said to my son at one point, "Hang on, we're going to wait for mum." And my dear teen, without any prompting at all, scooped up leftovers of something he and I shared at lunch before we left that restaurant. I did thank my husband repeatedly when he waited a beat for me, some verbally, some with just a smile. If this lasts, I'll be thrilled. And he does not seem to mind one bit. A story, not a super dramatic update, and I'm all for it. It was always nice to end the video on a positive sometimes, and it sounds like a lovely little family, little blip there, and it seems like they're working through it just fine, and I think that's great to see, and great to end on as well. But what do you guys make of this situation? How would you have dealt with it if it was you? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, and much love to you.